So I think I want to show you how to kill our AI character, because I think everybody wants to know how to kill their character. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to download. And maybe what I'll do is bring in some of these files, these animation files. So I'm going to go to Mixamo. Oh, excuse me. And I have an account, so it should log me in. And it looks like there's a weird looking character here. So by the way, you can download all sorts of characters, so that's kind of awesome. But all I'm really interested in is animations. So I'm clicking on animation. I think I'm going to look for death and hit enter. And let's see if I can get a good one. Lately, the one that I like is where they die and they like jump back. So this one, flying back death. I just think that looks awesome. So I'm going to download, and I'm going to say without skin, and I'm just going to leave the other settings. It's downloading. It looks like it's done downloading. There's my file. So here's my Unity. Here's my file. I'm just going to bring it into my assets. Now what we have is, it sort of shows up just like my other characters. It's like, I guess, an FBX package, but it's sort of missing the geometry, but it should still work. So what I'll do is change the animation to humanoid, and I guess for avatar I'll leave it default. Let's see if it likes that. It seems okay. Maybe, I don't know if this file scale thing matters. Probably not, so I'm just not going to touch it. And let's look at animation. And what I like to do is rename this, because it's called mixamo.com, and I'm going to name it Flying Back Death. And I'll leave the settings here the same. We were probably going to end up tweaking something, but I want to show you what leads us to making those changes. So here's the thing. We have this elaborate setup where our characters, all of them, they're set up in a way where there's a script that moves them, and then another script that, here's what I'll do. I'm going to turn off our boxy characters, I guess, because it doesn't have to be on our boxies, because all I really want is a player and an AI. Maybe I should save this scene. Probably should have saved the other one as 7. Call this lesson 8, because I think it's number 8. So now we should have one player, one AI, and the AI kind of chases you. Alright, but maybe we want to be able to kill that AI somehow. So what we can do is select our AI, and it has, well, let's have a look. Let's go to the animator window. Okay, so with the AI selected, actually it looks like all of our characters have the same exact animation controller, so this is interesting. So we can add the same dying animation to all of our characters, since they all use the same exact animation. Now, I don't think I talked about this in any of our videos, but this is where you can switch between different animation clips. It's the animator window. And if you, let's see, when you select, looks like there's only one animator file in this scene, but if these different characters had different animator controllers, that's what they're called, then you would see different information pop up here. So selecting any of them, you still get the same information. So if you want, what we could do, actually, whether you want to or not, I'll show it to you. Moving my animator tab, looks like it just disappeared. I need to bring it back. Maybe it's, whoa, made Unity crash. Now maybe, what if I close some of these tabs? What if I move my game window to the side? So now when I bring up animation, not animation, now when I bring up animator, select our character. This is because this is what I want to show you. I'd like you to see that when the scene is playing, you can actually see what's going on with the animator. So right now it's running the grounded animation. So this is a pretty complex setup because we have just 3 animation states. That's what we'll call these: grounded, airborne, and crouching. But so when I'm moving this guy, and when which one is this? Let's choose our third-person controller. So when I'm moving our third-person controller, he's on the ground. But when I jump, it goes to airborne. But it's weird. I guess when he lands, he goes to crouching for like a moment, and then he gets grounded again. But what's actually happening in this super complex setup is that if I double click on this, we're going to see that there's this whole other network of animation clips that all fit into the same grounded category. And it's hard to see it. Okay, there, it's easier. But while he's grounded, he has all these other animation clips for walking and running and tilting to the left, tilting to the right, or turning, I guess, quarter turns, half turns. It's pretty amazing. But I'm not interested in that. So we'll go back to the base layer. I guess there's a whole layer hierarchy that shows up here. But what I'd like to do is add a dying animation. And I guess I'd like the dying animation to happen as a 4th state. So there's 3 states here, and I'll add a 4th state. So this is how I'm going to do it. Let's go back to assets, and it looks like we have our death animation. And what I'll do is right click over here, create a new state, and it's empty. And now I'm going to move it to here, and in the name field I'm going to call it death. And then for motion, I want it to get the motion from our new flying back death thing. So since I renamed it, it'll show up here as flying back death. If we didn't rename it, it would be called mixamo.com or something weird like that. And it would be difficult to know which one it was. But I guess you could sort of see it, the name of the file down here. So you could identify it that way. Alright, so now we have our death animation as a animation state. I think that's what these are. Yeah. Okay. And is it that easy? I think it is, but we'll see. What if I select this? What if I select this? Let's have a look in the inspector. So it gave us a generic character since it didn't have its own geometry, and if we hit play, that's what it's going to look like. It's actually floating up in the air, so I already don't like that. So from the project area, I have the clip selected, and I'm going to hit edit here, and what it has is this root transform position Y thing. I'm going to bake into pose. I'm going to hit apply. Now it seems to ground itself a little better. Okay, so that's enough of that. Maybe, oops, that was a mistake. I think that was 0. Let's see, I clicked some buttons by accident, so I'm going to revert. Okay, that's better. So now we have our death animation here. This is what I want to do. I'm going to right click on grounded and make a transition, and it gives me this line that's sort of following my mouse. It's waiting for me to connect it, so I connect it to death, and if I left click, it places it. And I'll right click on airborne, make transition, drag over, left click on death, right click on crouching, make transition, drag it over. So now what I'm doing is, whether he's crouching or grounded or airborne, I want them to be able to transition to the dying animation. So if he's up in the air and something happens and he dies, I still want him to go through the dying animation. It might look weird because he's up in the air, but it's just what I want it to do, because I want to know when he's dying. And so for each of these transitions, each of these lines, you're going to need to set a condition for it. Needs a reason to go to that to the dying sequence. So to do that, we're going to set up a parameter. So up here we have layers and parameters. We're going to hit the plus button, and we're going to go to bool, which is a true and false thing. In this case, it's a checkbox. So we're going to type dead, I guess, which is unchecked by default. And then for each of these transitions, under conditions, we're going to say plus, and from this list, we're going to select dead. And it automatically assumes we're going to only transition if dead is true. And I'm going to do that here on the other transitions, on both of them. Go to dead, and on this one, conditions, dead. And let's see what happens. I'm going to hit plus, and I guess it depends on which character we're selecting, because they all have the same animation controller. Ooh, is it going to crash? Please don't crash. I think it's crashing. Might as well go in and make my transition, or my parameter. Let's call it is dead, just cause. Oh no, that's wrong. Delete that. I right clicked and deleted it. Okay, it's a bool. We're gonna call it is dead. I'm gonna. Boy, it's not letting me save. Interesting. I mean, I hit Control S. I'm just going to keep hitting it habitually in case it crashes again. Make my transitions. Add my dead condition. Okay, I'm gonna Control S. So what I should be able to do, if it doesn't crash, is as long as I have. Okay, so let's disable our boxy men. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna keep them on. I'm gonna hit Control S. I'm gonna hit play. Now bring them closer. So one of these boxy guys I'm going to select. I guess one's already selected. It's the new guy. And I'm going to click this is dead parameter. It should trigger his death. So let's watch. Okay. Now it took a while for him to die. I'm going to select the other one and click it. And he's dying. Okay. Okay. So it's working. Now you're going to laugh when you see this. If I move characters around, they're still sort of animating. They're rotating based on my controls. Okay. Oof. Is it going to crash? Okay. It's okay. Whew. One thing I didn't like was it took time. That when I killed them, they were still kind of doing their thing, and then they were like, "Oh, heart attack." So I'm going to select these transitions, and where it says has exit time, I'm going to unclick that. That way it can go to the death animation immediately. Even if it's interrupting, if it's in the middle of the idle animation or the run cycle, it'll just go straight to death. So I'm going to Control S to save. It just occurred to me I'm also in the wrong scene. But it should be the same for all of the scenes, since they're all using the same animation. So I'm going to go to scene 8. And if I hit play, select one of our characters. Okay. And now I'm going to select the AI guy and kill him. Boom. Dead. Oh, and he's getting smashed by, pummeled by teapots. Alright. I'm going to unplay it now. But that's not much fun. We're going to keep always having to click on that box. So what we'll do is write some kind of code to kill it. So what I'll do is take one of these teapots. How about one that's not bouncing? Drag that over. Let's grab one of these and let's make it less bouncy. So I'll delete the bouncy physics material. Oof, okay, I thought I was going to crash. And now I'm also going to create a new material for this deadly teapot. Naming it red. Oh, there's already a red material. Okay, I'm going to drag red material onto the deadly teapot. Might as well delete this new red. Oof. It didn't, okay. Right click, delete. You cannot undo this. Please don't crash. Okay. So if this is a deadly teapot, maybe we should tag it to make it seem deadly. So add a tag. And we'll call it deadly, I guess. Save. So what we've done is we've added a tag so that when I go to the teapot, I'm going to tag it as deadly. I'm going to Control S in case it crashes. So nothing should happen, but we're going to have a deadly teapot that hopefully we can basically run into. And maybe it'll kill anything that touches it. Oh, then it should be in a location where we can bump into it. Yeah, alright. Please don't crash. So here's our deadly teapot already killing us, so let's back away from it. Okay, and how are we going to get it to kill us? So on our third person controller, or on our AI, I mean. Now, I'll do this fairly quickly. I think we'll have it, we'll just call it death by teapot. Death by deadly. I'll add that component as a new script. Oops, create and add. Probably shouldn't have made it lowercase, but it's okay. Death by deadly. Okay. Let's see, what are we going to need? We're going to need a private nav mesh agent. Let's see, I'm also going to add Unity engine .ai. I just know this from experience because that's where we're going to get the nav mesh agent. And I'm also going to need a animator, I think that's what it's called. I'm going to call it anim. So our navigation or nav mesh agent is equal to game object, that's lowercase game, dot get component nav mesh agent. And I'm going to use this script on multiple things, so sometimes the nav mesh agent will be there, sometimes it won't, so we'll have to check on that, which I'll show you. We'll do the same animator. So it's just going to find these on the object that it's attached to. And we'll do I guess I need like private or something. Private void on trigger stay, I guess. That should be 2 parentheses, and then our curly brackets. Maybe I could clean that up a little. So we'll say, and that should say collider. I think it's usually called other. I don't know why my Visual Studio doesn't fill that up for me. So if other dot compare tag deadly. So if this other thing that has basically touched our trigger, well, it didn't crash. So if other compare tag deadly, so if it finds a deadly tag on the thing that bumped into it or triggered it or whatever, we're going to say anim.set bool and I think it was called is dead. I'm going to set that to true, like that. And how about, I think we're going to say if nav is not equal to null, more brackets, nav dot enabled equals false. And I'm going to save that, but what we're going to need is some triggers. I'm going to Control S, save scenes, and so our third person controller has a trigger on it, doesn't it? Yeah, this box collider, so I'm going to copy that because I want to put another similar trigger box on my AI. So I'm going to, I guess, paste component as new. So now we have the same box on both. Control S. And I'll make it more interesting since we wrote this Death by Deadly script. I want to also put it on our third person controller. So now both the player and the AI. Hey, I'll put it on all the characters. Foxy Man. Foxy Man. Oh, I guess they're also gonna need triggers. So paste component. I just remembered since it's already there in memory, I can still paste it. So now I'm gonna Control S. And while I'm there, I might as well enable the two boxy guys. Hit save. I know I'm kind of running through this fast. I'm really worried that my laptop's gonna run out. I should have just plugged it in, but I didn't. So there's this deadly red thing. And I think it's already touching these guys, so they're gonna die. Unless my computer crashes and saves their lives. Okay, one guy died. And that guy died. Alright, and now that guy's dying. And what about Ethan? Oh, Ethan's dead. Okay. They're still able to use the third person user controller. Which is the one, let's see, is that the one that allows it to, okay. So maybe the third person user controller should stop working. But I think I've had my fun. Let's move this closer to the camera. Just so we could have a little more satisfaction. Let's maximize on play, Control S, and hit play. So is that enough that we're able to kill things if we run into a thing? So in theory, maybe we'll have deadly obstacles, or maybe it's even a weapon of some sort. So here I'm gonna walk. Oof. Okay, I want to somehow get the AI to walk into this thing. So oh, okay. That's unfortunate. All right. Well, everyone's dead, and the AI is not going to run into it. Maybe I should make Ethan immune. So I'll disable Death by Deadly on Ethan. Control S. Hit play. Third person user control. Okay, that guy's dying. That guy died, that guy died. And Ethan is immune. You can grab it. He can kill people if he wants. And maybe I'll just get it so that they stop rotating around. So to do that, ooh, my battery's running down. Well, you know what? Let's just call it a day. I think I really plowed through this too fast, but hopefully this is useful information, and I can go over it again multiple times later on. So that's it. I really should have just plugged in my laptop, but I didn't. Oh well. Sorry. See you next time.